Hello, sorry about that. I've started this one in the middle because I chose to spend some time with Noobs and crew today, and I don't regret it. The episode that I watched is perfect for me to talk to the future about. No, don't do that. Oh yeah, dude, no, don't do that. You know, something that people want, people like me, magically inclined people to talk about, is synchronicity. That's the word. You want us to talk about synchronicities and how synchronicities work. I'm pushing this person really hard. I'm making them spend all their spells, and I've got this nice full hand of bullshit, and I'm actually just waiting for that.
Till death do us part.
But, you want us to talk about synchronicity because you think that... Oh, I don't have an excavate. I'm holding on. There's a card that will make that have reborn and will make it more interesting to me.
Can't carry!
And then he gets bigger when he dies, maybe?
Carry!
Who remembers how Gigantify works? Not me. Synchronicity, for those who don't know, is a style of oracle. It's a method of doing oracle. But the problem, if we want to jump right to the end, with synchronicity and with doing oracle strictly via synchronicity, and I'll define it, just hold your horses, is that you're left somewhat systemless. And synchronicities come in pairs. And if you've listened to me talk about magic before, I don't even know how that got in my hand, to be honest. If you've heard me talk about synchronicity, or if you've heard me talk about anything before, you understand and know that what I'm going to say is that you can't have any complex system without three moving parts. And so Oracle is an extremely complex system, and when I say you're system-less, I both mean that you are going to be lacking a prior interpretory system, but you are also going to be working with something that cannot be a functional complexity. Okay, so what do I mean? I mean that you can't get complexity from two parts, and so you can't oracle from two signs. And so synchronicity, at its lowest level of definition, or its lowest level of abstraction, synchronicity is it's an oracle where two unlikely things in the same category happen outside of time and space, but make you, the person wanting oracle, think they're connected. And so already anyone who clicks into this with a scientific, skeptical worldview is going to say, okay, but wait. The human brain is designed to seek and find patterns everywhere. It's what the brain is good at, and it's what it was made to do. I don't know why I did that. I just wanted to get rid of that dragon, I guess, for vanity's sake. And I'm playing a person with mixed up letters, so they're a Chinese gold farmer, and I don't mind dishonoring them. I don't mind taking their pants down and spanking their ass right at the end of a game. So synchronicity is where you have these two disconnected events in time that make you think of them, and then the scientific skeptical person is going to go, okay, but that's what the brain is designed to do. It's designed to find patterns. But here's your problem, and now I'm talking to the future about magic. The problem in outside of your complexity issue with threes is that when you're talking about twos, and this is why in the main channel I was, oh, what a great draw. This Brittlebone Buccaneer is basically that's my whole build. I have everything built around that for entirely troll reasons, so that when I play people like Madge, I played Madge earlier today, when I play people like this, like a real name, I really pushed them hard with annoying bullshit, because annoying bullshit is funny to me. Okay, so you've heard me say this before on the main channel, but I'll say it again. When you have an event, you have an incident. Okay? You have one thing, you have an incident. Oh, I was talking about how I was reading Mothman Prophecies and why John Keel goes to the lengths that he goes to establish not just synchronicity, but pattern. So let me explain. So when you have one event, like the first time you see Bigfoot in your life, let's just say the first time you see Bigfoot, right? That's an event, but it's disconnected from any other events in time. So what you have to do is you have to go and you have to find other events in the area that are connected to it outside time, and that puts you in a really ugly position from the perspective of somebody who's trying to prove something and cares whether people believe them, because you can't get there from that spot. You can't get to proof the way that John Keel is doing, and John Keel's not trying to prove, and he's not trying to, all he's trying to do is establish a pattern. And so then you experience it twice. Now you have a coincidence. You have two incidences. It's just a coincidence. They're connected through you across time, and so you have a neat little triangle, and that seems like enough to say, okay, well, I've got three, I've got complexity. But you don't, because you don't have three incidences, you don't have three experiences. You, the experiencer, are outside the event in a meaningful way. The event happens to you. You are the experiencer, you are the blind, so to speak, in the experiment. And so what that means is that, oh, I might have just fucked up. Oh, not really. But he's gonna kill me hard, so I'm gonna have to... You're outside the event because it's happening to you. And so you become the narrator, and in that way, in the timeline, you become something of a demigod when it comes to experiences, especially if something as extreme as like a Bigfoot, the supernatural, and those are extreme experiences. I'm sitting in the shade, so I look like I'm colder than I am. If I were to scoot over, you can see the sun is right there. If I were to scoot over even 2 feet, I'd be sweating my dick off, and so I prefer my dick to remain where it is. This is why science is blinded in the way that it is, because the experimenter is the narrator of events back. This guy really doesn't want to... I can't use that right now. He's just not going to let me play. You're just gonna starve me for corpses, huh? It's fine. I think I actually have lethal damage. Because at the quantum level of reality, which is where the supernatural lives, you change outcomes by measuring them. That's a very real thing. And so what that means is that whenever you have a supernatural experience, it's in a very real way unique to you, in that it's changing to present itself to you. You're changing it by observing it at the quantum level, which is how it is interacting with you in the first place. And so what people want to do is they want to try to make synchronicity, which is two events disconnected in time, but relevant to you, the observer, so a coincidence, literally. Yeah, I don't know why you didn't do that sooner. A coincidence in the strictest sense of the term. Do you see why I like that? Do you see why I like that silly card that gives all of my death rattles reborn? It allows me to. It allows me to open cans of whoop ass on people. It allows me to keep my board full. And at this, I'm at a low level of competition. Having a full board stresses people out. When when their opponent's board is full, it stresses people out. And so synchronicity would be less seeing Bigfoot and more kind of why I wanted to talk to you in the first place. Not why I wanted to talk to you, but what I wanted to talk to you in the first place, what I opened with. And I've said all of this as far as the rules before. In fact, it was my second episode on the main channel. Magic, the kind with a K, is the name of that title. I can link to it in the description if that will be useful to you, but I'd have to interlink them, and I can do that. So a month ago, on the 19th, Monday the 19th of September, I had court. I stood in court for the first time, and I defended myself against someone who was actively and intentionally lying about me to a judge who knew she was lying. And today, the Noob's gaming crew, I just on a lark almost, I decided, I told you this already, but I'll tell you again, I decided to just spend a half hour with Noobs while I got comfortable out here and played a little Hearthstone. Just tried to decide what I wanted to talk about so that I would be talking to the future. They did a spoof true court drama. Duralius sued Simon, and it was funny. I laughed. I was able to laugh about it, is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm going to put my phone down for a moment. I have to put my gloves on, which means I have to find what I did with my gloves. So they did a mock true crime drama. Not true crime. They did a mock court case, and even as recently as 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't have thought it was funny. But the synchronicity here is I was in court, and then 2 weeks after I was in court, when I was actually safe in my homelessness, they recorded... What do we got here? If you excavate... I don't excavate battle cry. Give a random bonus effect for each minion. Okay, I don't play a lot of different minions. Death rattle, shoot. I don't want to cast that, though. I'm going to hold on to that because I might have reduced the cost. Sorry. So 4 weeks ago, I'm in court. 2 weeks ago, they're recording an episode about being in court, and then they release it today. I think that's their schedule. And this is actually good for synchronicity too, because in one of these Talking to the Futures, I promised you I would tell you something that I like about what Neebs does that I want to get at. And you could have parsed it out from subtext if you know me, but you don't know me or how to parse subtext out of another human being's sort of failed sentences or failed narratives, and so I shouldn't ask you to do that. That's rude. They release this episode about court, and even as recently as while they were recording it, I wouldn't have thought it was funny. Even last Saturday, I wouldn't have thought it was funny because I was hungry and I was in a shitty mood, and I did a 7-hour Twitch stream in defiance of the hunger. Something is moving over there and it's drawing my attention. Sorry, nothing should be moving over there. And so they release it today when I'm just feeling the very best I've felt as a homeless person, and the synchronicity is just too neat to me to not fumble my way through trying to articulate to you. That is only a coincidence, you understand, that they did that. There's no greater meaning to it. But there is a greater meaning to it if what you're doing is you're not just doing oracle, so you're not just trying to communicate with the spirits, or you're not just trying to communicate with yourself, but if what you're trying to do is religion and you're trying to have a communication with God, you're trying to communicate with God and you're trying to understand the mind of God, and you're trying to, in whatever way it can be possible for a human to make the attempt to understand the mind and will of God, which is something that I am actively doing, and sue me. I didn't, pun unintended. That's how recency bias works right there, right? That wasn't adding to the synchronicity, and it wasn't a synchronicity that I said a pun. In fact, that I said the pun accidentally is recency bias. My brain was trying to get that out there. My brain was thinking of a way to introduce that specific pun out of my mouth. That specific idiom. Well played. Understanding the mind of God is what prophets do. That's their whole role, and that's why we do all these drugs that we do. Prophets, that is. Some other people consume for that purpose as well. And so the way you can stretch a synchronicity, out of a coincidence, if you're communicating with God, is just called belief. But it's an understanding that synchronicities start to connect themselves. It becomes a web, and then you get complexity. And so, like, I'm trying to think of another synchronicity that I've told you about recently that I understood to be okay. So, like, those who have been here from the main channel might remember that I destroyed my copy. Well, I didn't destroy. I badly damaged. I didn't even badly damage. I damaged the copy of Mothman Prophecies that I had borrowed from the library, and I was really busted up about it. I was really upset about it. It's fine now. The point is, I read the synchronicity of it being the only thing that got damaged as God telling me maybe quit it. Maybe I don't want you reading that stuff. Maybe what you in your mind and your secret heart of hearts don't want is to be putting yourself in that cognitive space while you're living in the woods at night and spooky shit happens to you every time you read this book. That's called cognitive bias, or that's called recency bias. Of course spooky shit would happen to you after reading a spooky book. It's, when you watch a horror movie and then you're all spooked out for the rest of the night. That's natural. That's called being human. That's why we have these spooky stories, and that's why we warn I don't know what he just did to me, but that's why we warn one another about scary things. This is why humans are the way we are. All of the things that we're doing, and this is why stories exist. You understand? And so they start to form a web, even a cluster. If you've looked at any of the sacred geometry that I've drawn for you, they start to create seeds of life, which is what the 6 circles all connected at the center point of one circle. So that's called a seed of life, and then each circle outside that contains another seed of life, and it becomes this infinitely complex array of seeds of life, and that's called the flower of life. And that's an ancient symbol. Dang, I'm just not gonna get my cool death rattle girl. Like, I don't mind holding my entire hand to just dump it on that cool death rattle chick. Like, he's got a death rattle. See, I'm just stacked for death rattle. And the way I've built this is to be able to spend corpses on that guilt-free. Who knows what I'm talking about? I'm talking to the future, but I'm also kind of talking to myself. And I'm talking to a future audience who may or may not know me very well. And these being early episodes, it's an invitation, as I always say, it's an invitation to go to the main channel and get to know me very well. I am doing my very best to make it easy to get to know me and to learn how to get to know other people. And it's in their idiom. You can get to know people really well in their idiom. And so maybe this is for the homeless cast, and so maybe I'm going to have to repeat myself, and I'll end up talking about this specific thing I'm about to say again. But speaking of getting to know people through their idiom, something that I've noticed, and I don't know if it's an African American thing. I don't know if it's a Zanesville African Americans thing. I really don't know. I haven't ever run into this except for the synchronicity of. I run into a lot of conversational synchronicities on the bus, and that has absolutely nothing to do with communicating with God. It has everything to do with the heartbeat and the mind of the city, getting to know the city and the people in the city. And if you're paying attention, so here's a good example, without seeming like I'm value judging black people, because I'm absolutely not. I love black people. This is why I'm willing to listen to her, and why I spent so much time musing about the interracial couple that I ate lunch with the other day on one of my homelessness vlogs. But this is better. Yay! The card I want. Oh, I'm gonna make a mistake. I've been spending longer at Christ's table, the place where I'm able to get my free lunches. They feed us, and the people there know each other better than they know me, so they tend to talk. And so what I'll do is, if nobody wants to interact with me, I'll put my one headphone in, but I listen with the other, and I'm paying attention to what people are talking about. And I got into 3 separate conversations about how much people around here miss Golden Corral, and that's not anything to do with anything, but it is a synchronicity. And so what I'm trying to do, I suppose, with this episode is teach you a little bit about the difference in spiritual synchronicities and synchronicities of significance, and synchronicities of character. And so the character of this town really likes Golden Corral, really misses it, liked the readily available, just all you can eat for one meal. But see, a city person, I've lived in both, and one of the books that was read to us a lot when I was a kid, that I read a lot in group settings, was the City Mouse versus the Country Mouse, or City Mouse, Country Mouse. City Mouse, and it's not so much a versus situation, but City Mouse, Country Mouse. And I got to know being both, living in the city and living in the country. I've lived in both. And so something that I've noticed, the interracial couple, African American dude, and I I said it's fair. The way he felt was absolutely fair. He complains that the food in the kitchen is bland, that they don't really spice it, and there's a reason they don't spice it, and the reason they don't spice it has everything to do with allergies and absolutely nothing to do with any kind of lack of culinary mastery or expertise or anything like that. So I get that. But I also know that there is an ethnic, and ethnic means where you live. There are ethnic intemperances or intolerances towards certain spices that people just don't like certain spices some places, and anyway, there's a criticism of people in the country by people in the city that they have enormous portions. They like enormous portions to their meals. They like to really eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And you've heard me talk about how if you're not in a specific environment, you really don't need to do that. If you're doing that to yourself, you're doing lasting damage to yourself. What does he do? He's got a reborn.
Run for help!
You're doing lasting damage to your insides, but you're also making yourself fat. And the specific environment, the reason that women learn to cook in these huge portions is because men used to work. And if you live in the country, even getting from place to place is labor before the automobile. It's very real work to walk anywhere. And so they would have these enormous portions because you would eat like I'm eating. You would eat once a day. You'd either get an enormous farmer's breakfast, so you've got the energy to make it through the day. And then typically the reason that people are so confused about supper and dinner being idiomatically the same it comes from the same place. You would come in and you would eat, but you wouldn't want to eat heavy and you wouldn't want to eat a lot. So you would eat light for supper, and that would be later in the day, 5, 6 in the afternoon, because you got this big breakfast that gets you through lunch, right? Lunch is factories. Lunch is a break in the middle of the day when you're working 9 to 5. Supper is a break before you go to your housework at the end of the day, toward the end of the day. And then dinner is typically a light meal. You're not eating a huge dinner because you don't want all that. But that's why farmers tend to be robust around the middle, is because they eat a lot of calories, but they also do a lot of work. But you do want to hang on to some of that body mass, because what you don't want to do is burn up all of your body fat during the day working and then be doing permanent damage to your body. So you do want to be girthy when you're doing a lot of physical labor. That's why if you look at the difference in bodybuilders and the world's strongest men, you would look at them and go, well, those guys are all fat. But yeah, they have to be, because by the end of that competition, they're going to be skinny and dehydrated, just like the bodybuilders. And the reason the bodybuilders look the way they do is because they're tragically dehydrated. They're dangerously dehydrated is what they are. You dehydrate the muscles to make them look nice, to make them look lean, and yeah, those are just massive cramps they're putting themselves into on stage. And it does damage. It does hurt the body. That's why in the off season they're all just beer belly fat guys. And the beer belly thing is real. It's the alcohol plus all of those carbs. But they need those carbs. They need all that protein too. You got to rebuild those muscles. And the only way you used to be able to get that stuff was enormous meals of meat and potatoes.
My
And the only way in the pre-modern world before refrigeration, the only way you could justify eating all that meat the only way you could justify eating all that meat was either being a world-class athlete, a world-class soldier, or working like that. Kings and princes began to do all that stuff. This is a battle cry, right? They ate like that out of a tradition from the warrior past, from the king cults, where the kings started to hoard the bone marrow and the good meat so that they were the only people who were physically fit enough to fight. But that's about women. That's not about men, because it was the women who portioned out the food, because food was portioned out religiously, exactly like it's done at Christ's table, which is why it's especially déclassé. To me, it's passé and déclassé, however you want to say it. It's ugly, and you shouldn't do it to complain about free food. I just think you're a bad person if you're complaining specifically about free food. So what I'm gonna do is get a little meme here. Let his dragons kill him. And then this doesn't have a death rattle.
Everybody needs a casket.
I might have to do that anyway. Do I want the 9/9 taunt? Yes. Yes, I do. And there's a chance, non-zero chance, that I'll get my death rattle chick, and I'll be able to reborn an 8/8 taunt. And so the synchronicity as far as African Americans in this community. Again, I love African Americans. I've dated black girls. I've always all of the people who've been consistently cool to me across my life have been self-identified as black, and even at Christ's table, the reason he was willing to complain to me, I think, is a cultural thing, and it might be a cultural thing of Ohio, Northern Ohio, or Central Ohio, Appalachian African Americans, and I'm very interested in culturally how it migrated here and where it came from. And I have an idea, and I might speak to that as we go along. But he was willing to share with me. I should let him know. I messed up.
Rats in a cage.
I messed up bad, actually. Almost all the cards in my hand.
Taunts me.
Yeah, I just messed up pretty bad. I just had to fuck up my whole plan and what I was talking about. And anyway, he was being honest with me because he could tell that I don't have any racial bias against him. I was willing to make eye contact with him when we talked, and like I said, his opinion was fair. It was just déclassé to voice it where he did, because the food was free. And if the spices matter that much to you, this is a white culture thing that he may not even be aware of. Just like he might not be aware of the reason that oh, you bitch, you just well played. No, I think I got it. I think I got it. Is he gonna let me get my win? Oh, why did it cast that? It's not the spell I wanted to cast. Sorry, bud. Yeah, I wasn't sure I actually got the win. Thanks for letting me actually get it and not conceding that time, because I didn't think I had it. he might not understand that the reason the food is left unseasoned like that is because church culture for maybe hundreds of years, potluck culture is known. I've never known potluck culture anywhere among white people to spice anything. The people that bring exotic foods to potlucks end up taking the exotic food home, or somebody takes it and makes a big deal about how good it was and how exotic it was, and then throws it away when they get home, because those spices, the white palate just doesn't have a desire for that degree of exotic spices, because you have to remember how long it took those spices to reach peasants with my skin color. You just really have to think about the culture and the history and the way of life, the actual facts, and it's been well understood, as long as I am aware that the culture has existed, that if you have like what you'll see is the older white people just pour salt and pepper on everything, because nothing has any flavor other than its natural flavor, and then maybe whatever cheese or cream you've got in there, maybe some sugar, and then so they just pour salt and pepper on everything, because they don't salt and pepper for potlucks or for kitchens like this either. If you salt and pepper, there's a chance that you've got pepper allergy, and then there's always a chance that somebody has high cholesterol or can't handle sodium. Always a chance. You have to be very careful with dietary restrictions in places like this. You don't want to be feeding people as much as they can eat and then kill them. But that's what people like about Golden Corral, and that's why they were talking so much about Golden Corral. It's not that the food is particularly well spiced. No. It's that Golden Corral doesn't accept any responsibility for if you're willing to kill yourself by eating. And if you've read Godfather, that's a thing that people do and have done for a long time. Kings did it. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do, but it is a thing that is done by human beings. And so this woman, it's strange to me that I keep seeing people that are enormous. You can tell all they do is eat. And you have to eat junk food to get that big. And by junk food, I mean actual garbage food lacking any nutritional viability whatsoever. And you have to have an utterly sedentary lifestyle in order to get that big. And I am absolutely not criticizing the size of the person or their body type. Absolutely not. They were sexually viable once they have a child, and so maybe they got injured and then things just fell out of control. Whatever. I'm not judging. I don't care. I got fat once. I lost it all. Whatever. It's whatever to me. It's easy as a man. It's really easy as a male to think it's easy to lose weight and then get really fucking stupid ideas about other people's bodies. I'm not doing that. What I am saying is that she told 3 stories about places that she had eaten recently, and she was eager to tell the stories, is what I found strange. She was eager to tell the stories, but all she wanted to talk about was how she threw the food away. And I'm like, why are you... And I know the answer. I figured it out just as I asked the question. That's why I do this. Because I would have riddled that out and riddled it out and riddled it out and riddled it out, and if I didn't say it out loud to somebody else, I never would have thought the answer, because I never would have thought the question. I would have just refused to engage with it because of a certain, maybe even bourgeoisie kind of virtue signaling in my own mind. Well, you don't need the answer. Well, now you're talking about it, and so you want to explore the answer, and the answer is absolutely about food independence. It's absolutely not just the bragging that you can make it better. It's that you're so loaded in food that you can throw it away. And this was said by somebody on a bus. And so it's absolutely about class. It's absolutely about imitating. It's about imitating a class that you don't belong to and that you're not actually in. And so if I were if I were, let's say, a biblical prophet, I would absolutely value judge that behavior. And I would say, I don't know how does Forge work? Upgraded for, I didn't mean to do that.
Reach for the skies.
And so what she's doing is she's acting like she has enough personal wealth that she can just throw food away and that restaurants are beneath her. But that, unfortunately, that is a coping mechanism. That's why I didn't want to think about it. That's her culture refusing to acknowledge how actually poor it is. And so what that is that's actually a pre-automobile cultural bias, a pre-automobile coping mechanism. You get that big to show off that you have the ability to get that big, and then you denigrate anything, any and everything that you can to show that you can denigrate things, that you are above things. And it's about acting like you're going through the ascetic self-denial of Christianity and other virtue systems. And by virtue systems, I mean magic systems, complexity systems that have answers for how to arrive at virtue. But you're doing it from a place lacking virtue is really what it comes down to. And so I find it ugly. Not just because, well, it is ugly, it's an ugly behavior. You should absolutely not behave that way. Because the thing that upset me about it, and that I would have value judged if that were the kind of person I am, is that the food she was throwing away was gifts from her son. I don't know why you would brag about throwing away food gifts. I don't know why you would brag about throwing away a gift from your son. Your son loved you so much, he brought you Chinese, and so what you did was throw it away. And your son loved you so much, he brought you a Japanese bento box to expand the horizons of your palate, and what you did was throw it away. You didn't even try. And so that gets me back. And so there are people who are going to make a superiority argument, and maybe there is a superiority argument to be made here. Maybe there is a better way, and maybe I'm trying to teach people who behave like this that there is a better way to behave, and that it doesn't have to be about being Christian, and it doesn't have to be about being white, and it doesn't have to be about virtue. It's considered in bad taste if you go to a potluck, or you go to a friend's house, or you in any place, any time, any place, any manner, are given food that you didn't personally prepare as an act of love. The food is given to you. If the food is given to you as an act of love and you didn't have to personally prepare it, not eating every bite is considered rude. It's considered impolite. It's considered ugly. It's considered to be better than, to consider yourself better than. And we've already discussed that. Okay, fine. So they're coping with their actual poverty, right? Not just poverty of good behavior, but their actual objective. We could say poverty. If you're on the bus, right? You're not driving. That means you can't afford a car. If you own a car but you're not driving it, there are things that all of these things mean, right? They have meaning besides the front that you're trying to put up. Except he's gonna kill it with a spell, but it was free. And so you're trying to cope with feeling lesser than people who own cars by saying that, well, they eat every bite of this slop and I'm superior to this slop, so I'm going to throw it away and make something better. But we do understand that when we would ask Mom when we were poor as children for a hamburger from McDonald's, and she would say, we've got hamburger at home, it's because she was too poor to afford the McDonald's. It wasn't about the superiority of the McDonald's. The McDonald's is an event, right? McDonald's is something that makes you feel good, right? It's participation in the larger, broader culture, and children understand that very much. They understand being seen in public eating at McDonald's and what it means for them, socially, right? What it means to be recognized as able to afford McDonald's, right? And I don't know what these people want from me specifically. What they want me to do and what they want me to say is to have a kind of pity for them. And they want me to feel bad for them. And I don't. I am that poor. My parents were that poor. I feel an immense guilt when I can't finish the fruit or the greens on my plate because I've gorged myself on everything else and I'm actually full, and if I sit there they're just going to be gross by the time I get to them. Nobody, because I tried, I eat some. That's polite. Okay, fine, you tried. Thank you for trying. And that's not something you only say to children. You understand? It's not something you only say to children or... You fucker. Now I lose. Because I have no way of dealing with that. That made me sad. I was gonna win against one of these people that's got a stupid deck. Yeah, I lose. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally ended that video. I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to get to learn how to stitch these two together and whether I even can. But hey, learning opportunities. I'm okay with that. Losing that made me feel sad. I do feel sad when people are rude. But I don't feel bad for them. And I don't pity you. And I don't feel an inclination to look past your misplaced sense of self-superiority. You're not superior. You're being dishonest with me, and you're being dishonest with yourself about yourself. You're misrepresenting yourself, and why? I understand that what we want to do is we want to act like the rich women and the rich men, and we want to act like, but why? And so there's a certain amount of, well, I can't relate, so I won't relate, and then there's always the inclination as humans to, well, if we can't relate, to think it's less than. Always. That's a social impulse that's necessary. There's a reason for it. But that doesn't mean it's good. And it doesn't mean it's healthy, socially, broadly, or socially narrowly. And by that I mean it's good for your reputation. I don't think it's good for your reputation to be ugly. You understand what I'm saying? We like beautiful things. Humans like beautiful things. And like when I say, like, I like pretty girls, it's like I don't mean I like pretty underage girls. I like pretty females. I like to look at them. Even they don't have to be beautiful. I'm not talking about spending my time and my day searching the world for the Cindy Crawfords of the world, but there are men like that. There are women like that. That's no nice way to say it. This is a weird and interesting spell. I'll get my death rattles and my battle cries, so anything that has a death rattle and a battle cry it'll cast twice.
Me have bad for you.
I don't know. There's a better way to be, but not being that way doesn't make you less than. You just are. And you know it. That's why you're inclined to be sensitive about it. My issue is I just don't understand the sensitivity. I'm poor. What's the problem with my being homeless? Who does it hurt that I'm homeless? Why should I be embarrassed about that? Why should I be ashamed? I'm not ashamed. I'm embarrassed for the cumulative of my choices or whatever. I mean, we could talk about that, but that's not. This is also character and inclination and personality. I mean, there's so much of my humanity wrapped up in my choice to be and not flee from homelessness. My being born to inadequate parents isn't my fault. Why should I feel shame for that? And why do you humans, maybe you viewer don't, but why do humans want me to feel shame for it? Well, they don't want me to overcome because they think I'm going to take their spot on the train. But why is there a bullet train? Why is there a train? Why are there limited seats? Why is there a train at all? Why are we concerned with any of this stuff? Stuff being the operative word. I mean, it's just stuff. It doesn't mean anything. Not to you, not to me, not to anybody. The only people it means anything to are the people that are pathologically terrified that it's going to come crashing down around their ears. But it is going to come crashing down around their ears, and it should. Did he somehow kill her? No. What happened to him? I thought I cast this too. Didn't I? Maybe he killed it. Oh, I fucked that turn up.
Feels good.
I thought I cast one of these out. He must have instantly killed it. He had a trap. I must have not been paying attention.
Conquer in my name.
I wonder if what it is. I wonder if what's happening isn't that people who were raised outside Christianity felt like they were raised outside Christianity. That Christianity in its own right, that the church community and all these things, potlucks and stuff that they didn't have access to as children were actually withheld from them. I wonder if that's what people are feeling. I don't know what this is going to do, but I'm trying it.
Do what the living cannot.
That was neat. And so they behave as children behave. And there's a certain oppositional defiance. Well, I'll just do what feels good to me, and that's enough. And then there becomes an intentional self-blinding that happens where they don't want to see, so they don't see how their life is actually playing out around them.
A citadel stands strong.
I think saying it out loud in the manner that I am makes it sound obvious. But the obvious isn't always obvious. needs to be. When he death rattles, what's he gonna do? Deal 2 damage? No. There's a chance for... No? Okay. What's this do? At the end of your turn. I could let him burn up his corpses, but I don't want to. I just don't want to deal with that.
Feels good.
Oh, he got my death rattle, girl.
Shall suffer.
Feels good.
Yes. And so then, saying that, okay, well, these people are just being opposition and fine, and they don't really understand what they're doing, or what they're saying, or what they're feeling, or they just don't understand anything about anything.
Run for help!
Okay. There's a...
Together, we are strong.
I have but little time. We do what the living can. A citadel stands strong.
I might be able to survive it now. I'll have 3 health. Maybe 8 health. Well, I think I've just talked myself into why I'm doing... I just talked myself back into doing. I've reaffirmed for myself why I'm doing talking to the future. Because I can't correct her behavior. There's no amount of these people in their 50s and 60s, 40s even, whose behavior I'm going to correct. But I see my analytics, and the people who watch my work are between the ages of 25 and 45. And I said in your 40s, it's a little too late, but life starts over at 40. For everyone, life starts over at 40. And so, you know, do you have a second chance to get it right? Probably not. It's probably not that hallmark. But could you change? Could you be better? Could you get it right? Yeah. That's why I always tell you I believe in you. My only option, the only thing that I could possibly do to salvage this is to get lucky on this next one. And to get, like... all 10 cards, top cards, otherwise I die. Yeah, you know, I just talked myself back into being who and what I am, because if I don't do it, who's going to? I need something that's going to increase the health of my undead minions. Who else is going to? Because we don't trust our pastors, as I said when I was doing this earlier today. We don't trust our pastors not to diddle our kids, and we don't trust our school teachers not to teach our children nonsense that makes them want to cut their diddleable parts off and then be diddled by the teachers.
King versus Thrall.
For Doomhammer, all will serve me in
And my generation has decided that they can find their own way individually without any of the knowledge systems from the past. And so I spent my life no different than any other millennial until about 30. And then I realized that the knowledge system of the ethnos, the city, the ethnic knowledge system of the people around me wasn't working. It wasn't working not only for me, it was decidedly not working for them. And that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these African American cultural artifacts in the area. I don't think white people are superior, but I do think politeness culture is superior. And I know that the things that I was taught about how to engage with adults while I was a child and other people in a church and community food setting are right. I know they're right because they work for me. People like me. They want to be around me. And I genuinely believe that you being human value that metric. You also want people to like you and to want to be around you, and why shouldn't you? And I can help. I can help while you watch me get my ass kicked as a total noob at Hearthstone. I mean, I got 15 wins so far. I started this character last night. That's not too bad. 15 wins took a long time with my shaman. A lot longer than this. God damn. Speaking of shamans and goddamn warlocks, I'm not gonna get her. They're just never gonna give me what I want ever again. 30 cards, only 2 of them. I have a 7% chance of drawing her every game, and I'm okay with winning or losing based on not getting her. Because I built the deck to be able to withstand that. I have plenty of other cards in here that aren't. Like if I can get a good draw here on turn 5, I'm straight. In fact, I think I've got it. Yeah, Army of the Dead, I'm good.
Rise and serve your king.
Hopefully I can make him burn a card. Maybe. You know, I think people want to build something new. And I know that we can't go backward. It's impossible to implement old ideas as good. People aren't stupid enough. Oh, I've lost. I'm gonna just concede. That's actually fine, because I'm at the end of this. I'm talking to the future. I've said everything I want to say. Because I'm not value judging these people. In fact, I'm evaluating them. I'm respecting them by paying attention to what they're saying over the course of time. I'm demonstrating all of the behaviors that on the main channel I told you needed to inculcate, and now I'm demonstrating them in a different channel that's facing me now instead of facing only the games. So thank you for being here. I am Shaggy, Philalitea. I get to learn how to edit these together today, and I really value you giving me the chance. That's all I've ever asked for, is a chance. So just remember, like I always say, keep your eyes open, keep your hands up, keep your palms available, keep your head on a swivel, and do better, because you can. Smile at strangers. Use your manners. It's not hard. We were all taught them. Not all of us were hit for not doing them, so we didn't think we had to do them. You don't have to do them. Taking the extra time and going the extra mile to do them will get you a reputation. Reputations come with free shit. Get a good reputation, and good shit will come your way. I believe in you, kids.